maintenance days for the guys that weren't out there?
Yep, they'll all be decisions made tonight.
Did anything surprise you when looking back at their changes on the forward group? Did anything like stand out that maybe surprised you that you weren't expecting?
Well, you don't know what you're going to get from Kapanen. We haven't seen him. He was physical. We know he has speed off the wing, got a chance that way. I believe he had played with 92 and Draisaitl in the past when we played them earlier, so not surprised they were aligned because they had some. Who else? That was the only addition, right? They added a right D. Stetcher's played a lot with Nurse, so it didn't surprise me there. They've been in and out. So I wouldn't say the line surprised me. They dropped Kane down from one. McDavid's played with Hyman and Nugent Hopkins for 4 years, whatever the time Hyman's been there, I think, on and off. So Perry's the one, I guess. He'd been effective. Was probably as much in the power play, but when you have depth, you can do that.
The buzzword today was desperation. Guys in the room were talking about you have to feel that before you even touch the ice today. So I'm curious, what does that look like? How did the conversations change today, if at all, knowing what is at stake?
Well, we had a meeting this morning. We talked about some things that we need to do. And it's not about tactical, like below the goal line. We need to be quicker recovering to the slot, forecheck. We got to get second touch, and this was more about urgency, stuff we've done in the past that's, I don't want to say change a series, but can impact a series. We have people in the room that are capable of that. I think Edmonton did a good job with that in the first period the other night. The other thing we talked about is Edmonton. It's a little bit of what the Pacific Division is. And no disrespect to the others, but we feel we're the two kings of the division. We're going to have to go through each other if you want to get where you want to go. So there's a little bit of that conversation that this is probably not a one-off. We feel we'll be, whatever the team looks like, we'll be right back there next year. They probably feel the same way. So this isn't one game, and of course you're staying in the moment, but this is something that, they had to go through us. We had to go through them 2 years ago. We would have had to go through them last year if we had a won Game 7 in Dallas. So there's nothing new here. So this has got to be something you embrace if you expect to be the last team standing, because it's probably going to happen, I would guess. I'm not a mind reader, you know what I mean? I'm guessing down the road, this is not going to be the last time these two teams are going to meet to try to get where they want to go, would be my guess. So, it's on. So show up and put your best foot forward and see what happens.
You've mentioned in the past that there's a line between desperation and urgency, but given what's at stake tonight, how does that change tonight?
Well, the line's moved to desperation because we're done if we don't win. It's that simple. So what does desperation look like? Well, it's usually, you're working as hard as you can to keep the puck out of your net. That's what you see. When you have the puck on your stick, you can't be desperate, right? You got to be relaxed. You got to make your plays. You got to be hard on it to win it, but maybe a little more desperate in front of their net if there's a rebound. Maybe it's not one whack, it's 2, 3, 4 whacks. It's just going the extra mile. That's all. And I think it's easy to say, well, you should be doing that every night. And there's probably an argument made for that, but this is a little more magnified.
Bruce, you mentioned yesterday the need maybe for a better start, first 10 minutes. Are there things you'll look at tonight that would tell you guys are on the right road towards doing that?
Yeah, usually it's are we rolling 4 lines? Are we playing in their end? Are they getting it out and changing? We've had good starts. I went all through it yesterday, our expected goals and all those things. That they're not lopsided at any one period. A little bit in the overtime, but I think the 5-minute major probably tilted that. Otherwise, they've just capitalized early, and that's where we got to be better early on with our putting out fires. If we do lose a puck battle. So that's where the start has to be better. First few minutes, making sure we're on our toes, alert. So it'll be in and out of our end, closing off plays for them, choking off their offensive zone time, getting through the neutral zone clean, and getting to our game in the other end. If those things are happening, it'll probably look good for us.
They brought a couple guys in, and maybe it did seem to kind of bring their energy up. Kapanen was one that very physical. If you do have to use another player, is it possible that one of the guys that goes in could bring the energy of the team up?
Well, I mean, that's a little bit of what you'd hope for. They've been waiting their turn, chomping at you're hoping they want to be the guy in there. He obviously looked like he did. Probably felt slighted he was out for another player. And sometimes that's a situation. Other times a guy knows that there's other guys ahead of him. It's his turn to go in and make sure he kind of holds the fort down in his role. So you got to be careful there, right? Depending on the position, what they're capable of. Are they that player? But yes, you'd hope they'd bring some level of excitement, and pull the line along or whatever for short periods of time. Again, Kapanen, I'll use them as an example. He's been around. He's been a guy that's been there. If we're using a first-year guy, it's first playoff game, that's a tough ask. If we're using a veteran guy, then it's a different story.